This is a review for the DEWALT DXV04T vacuum. They specify this model is yellow, although I don't know if there's another color option. You can find this on Amazon for right around $100, although at the time of the recording there appears to be a 15% discount. I'll drop the link in the description. This vacuum is designed for wet and dry usage. It features both reusable and disposable filtration options, and includes a variety of flexible and stiff hose attachments and heads. It's powered via 20-foot cord using 120-volt AC at 140 watts, which drives a 5 peak horsepower motor. It's a toolbox-style design that opens up into a 4-gallon tank. This model does not have wheels, and it weighs in at 13.2 pounds. It reportedly produces an 80 dB noise level, and if this matters to you, is made in China. The hoses are 1 7/8 inches in diameter. I'm going to assume that means interior. And the motor features a reversed blowing function in addition to the regular suction mode. The blowing mode utilizes the opposite air port. Okay, so should you buy? At first glance, this thing looks like great quality. Admittedly, this was a gift to me, so it feels a lot better for free than shelling out full price. I've used plenty of DEWALT products in the past and they've always been great. This vacuum has the familiar shine and promise of durability. That being said, when you think about the fact that this is just a motor wrapped in some injected molded plastic, it's hard to imagine this should cost $100. In any case, when you break this thing out of the box, you're greeted by a pleasant new vacuum smell, some instructions, and a disposable bag all sitting on top. You've also got your 7-foot flimsy hose and some plastic wrapped around the tank. It really is toolbox style, and it's very easy to open by unlatching both sides. On the inside, you'll find your reusable cartridge already attached, a sponge filter, and you'll be able to see where the hose attaches for suction. On the lid, there is a satisfyingly yellow power switch and an accessory compartment that opens and closes easily. In that compartment, you'll find 2 hose nozzles. On the outside, there are 2 stiff hose extenders, probably about 2 feet long each. The power cord came wrapped up and stuffed in the shelf on the side, and you should be able to wrap it around the 2 wings for storage if you choose. The other circular opening that's on the lid rather than the tank is the blowhole, and it either functions as exhaust during suction or just for airflow if you're in blower mode. The flexible hose attaches to your tank extremely easily. You can see I did it on camera with only one hand and I was able to detach it as well. So far, so good. Throughout my process of setting up the vacuum, the first thing I encountered that I didn't like was the power cord. I found it funny they advertised 20 feet as extra long, and then I wound up needing more length of cord. In my particular garage, 20 feet just isn't quite as long as I'd like it for where I want to park my truck, especially if I want to get around the vehicle and access from all sides and doors. I realize that everyone has a different setup and a different reason for using a vacuum, but in my case I was disappointed. Even if I get my truck as close as possible, I'm going to need to use an extension cord. The second thing I noticed that immediately started to bother me is the flexible hose. When you're not using it, it's going to scrunch up to only a few feet long. And just based on the mechanics of it all, there really isn't a good way to store it. It's going to flop all over the place and wind up smacking the ground every time you set it down. It's hard to set it on top of the vacuum without it falling right off and getting scratched up. Depending on who you are, you might not care at all, but I find it a little bit annoying. For a vacuum that does so much right, with clips for hose attachments, special compartments, etc., they fail to come up with an organized way to handle the main feature you're going to interact with, which is the flexible hose. One very important thing to consider before buying this vacuum is the lack of wheels. Again, this is application specific, but it's definitely make or break depending on what you're using it for. I'm typically going to use this on my vehicle and maybe some other small things around the house, and I've grown accustomed to using shop vacs with wheels. This was a gift, so I can't complain too hard, but I will need to adjust this. When I went to vacuum my truck, the first thing I noticed was the height. Compared to my Tacoma, this thing sits pretty low to the ground, and I actually had to use a good amount of the hose length just to reach up into the truck. I was able to reach everything, but I was definitely stretching. I thought the force of suction was good, so this must mean a combination of good working motor and a decent seal around the tank. On camera, I vacuumed my floor mats, which I could have just pulled out of the truck and dumped out, but I wanted to illustrate all the junk it picked up. I also had a very easy time vacuuming all the carpeted interior parts around the feet as well. I had some pretty bad lighting, but I was able to get most of the dust off my seat cushions with just a few passes. I popped open the tank so you could see the aftermath. One thing that's hard to see on camera is how much gunk was lodged in the filter. This also supports the idea that the suction is really powerful, but it shouldn't get clogged by this large debris either, because when I turned it vertical, most of the dirt started dropping right back into the tank. So I guess my final verdict is yes, I think this vacuum is worth a buy. But I would recommend you think about your use case and consider that you may want to use an extension cord. Overall, I would recommend, and I dropped the Amazon link below if you're interested. Like and comment with any questions. I'm more than happy to help, and I'm sure I missed something. Please let me know if I can improve these videos in any way. If you'd like to support the channel, you should of course subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000. But if you'd like to go above and beyond, you can buy me a coffee using the link in the description. I appreciate every one of you. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.